Life is crazy, but I'm stepping through it. No shell toes, got my stripes like I'm rep.
Hello, Emily with Just Ask. I'm here and I have Jamari. Who is Jamari? Tell us a little bit about your background and who you are.
How you guys doing today? I'm Jamari Johnson. Right now I'm boxing. I'm working on becoming pro.
Okay.
I box for Ray Cassell. I got a fight coming up on the 24th of this month.
Very nice. Where's that at?
Cassell's boxing. It's in Niagara Falls, New York.
Okay. Is that something people could buy tickets to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And if they want to get tickets, where would they find that?
Well, my coach would give it to me. I reach out to people we sell them, or you could just go to his boxing gym. It's on Maryland.
Okay, I'll tag it in the post if anybody is interested. Let's support in every way we can.
That.
So, funny story. I was doing food delivery one day, and I went in and I had to pick up an order, and one more order came through, and I was like, I said, do I feel like waiting for it? So he was really cool about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna be patient, opposite of what I typically am. And but that's the power of just like talking, being kind, having conversation. Because here we are. I'm like, you know what? You seem like a cool dude. You're younger and kind of feel like you can share something different than a lot of the typical topics I've had, if you will. So talk to people, be kind, smile. You never know where the conversation may lead. So when we had talked, I was trying to figure out kind of what topic you would kind of be comfortable talking about. Mm-hmm. And what it came to was kind of co-parenting and being a single parent in the world we live in. So before we kind of like dive into that, what childhood events would you say played into your upbringing and who you are today?
Well, growing up at church, getting to know God, I feel like that was the best thing that my mom ever did. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it was a lot of street violence. Where we come from.
Were you born and raised in Buffalo?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
My mom moved around a lot. I was actually born in Albany, but I grew up in Alabama and Georgia.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, but it was a lot of street violence. But when you're a believer of God, you start to know right from wrong. Yeah, it sticks with you forever. So that was the best thing that my mom did, because it humbled me. It gave me, it let me know that somebody's always watching. So you got to watch what you do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So. And then like I said, same here, born and raised, a strict family of 3 girls, church, 4 days out of the week. I mean, and naturally, the more you force somebody to kind of do something or do it the way you think, naturally it's going to eventually become like a rebellion.
Yeah.
So even if you were like raised in it, I feel like we all had our phase where we had to try some stuff out, figure out what, But like you said, but the importance of, there's a Bible verse on it where it says, train and kind of lead your children up in the way that they should live. I feel like personally, I understand that, because even with that always stuck with me. It's almost like a conviction where it's like, you probably shouldn't do that, and there might be no point of return.
Yeah, I try to tell people, like, you got to balance it. You got to be, don't be too strict on your children, They got to live a little, because once they get to the age where they can do whatever they want, they're going to do.
It's going to be a little worse, rather than doing it, in the guidance of their parents' home, where it's just like, they're going to live, they're going to be curious about things. And like you said, it's that fine line of it's okay to ask and wonder things.
You also, like, don't be too loose with them either. No, like, it's scary.
Very fine line. You're not trying to be the friend either, but definitely. Now, can I ask how old you are?
I'm 23.
23. So, and like I said, I asked that because you do seem a little ahead of your years, which is not a bad thing. So you have kids, correct?
Yeah.
Or kids or just one?
I got 4.
Oh my! Wait, what?
Yeah, I got.
When did you start? 15?
Yeah, actually.
Okay,
yeah.
I did not. Okay, wow.
Yeah, it's a kind of a dark background.
Okay, wow. You don't have to dive that deep into it, but like, okay, what is it like being your age and having 4 kids in the world we live in these days?
I love my children to death. I feel like I wish I made better decisions.
Yeah.
And I was smarter, but. I got caught early. Like, I'm a victim of statutory rape, so it was like,
it's and it's like I said, and I'm not saying this in any side. Listen, men got it rough out here too, because women. I'm sorry, but women be swearing like, oh my God, like we. Women are scarier sometimes. Okay.
Nah, yeah. So yeah, she got me. She got me early, but having kids with her and all that other stuff, I wish I made better decisions. But I look at kids and everything now, I don't know if I really knew or not. Like if I really knew better, because we was together since I was 12. She was 18 at the time. So
okay.
It was,
Okay.
So she had me wrapped up.
Yeah.
And we ended up having children. I wish I didn't prepare myself for it. I wish I gave myself more time to prepare for it.
I mean, number one, with those circumstances, the age that you are, I don't know if there was much that you could do to be prepared for something like that. Now, may I ask, are all your kids with her?
I just had a daughter last year with someone else.
Okay.
But yeah, my first one, I have 3 with her, and then I have one more, yeah.
I don't want to say, like, it's not that it's, like, good or bad or anything, but I guess in that sense it's good that the 3 do have the same mother. Kind of just reduces so much, in between. So, oh my God, like, yeah, like at 4 kids, like how do you balance that? How do you maintain that? Obviously, having to support yourself, I assume.
I think about my kids all the time with every move I make, and do things to better our future.
Yeah.
I have to take care of myself in order to take care of them. So, and I wish I did that in my early ages, but I didn't.
You're still in an early age. Don't stress. Yeah. Listen, my girlfriend, she's always telling me, she's like, you have to have grace with yourself. And because I think, first of all, you're 23. You made it here. You sound like, you got your day job. You're doing boxing, which, is something that you enjoy, while like having 4 kids. So like you where you are now, is a good point, because how many 23-year-olds can even say that they have that much on their plate and are able to maintain it as well as you. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's what I'm saying, like, you seemed the surprise where I had a few minute conversation with you at your place of work, and I would have never had any clue of that. And it just, like I said, like, whoever it is, wherever you are, this is why you have to have such a grace, understanding, and kindness towards people, because you don't know what people's story are or is, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, that's probably not even the half of it, but you still got a good demeanor. You're still respectful. You have a smile on your face, and you still find a reason to wake up every day. And it's just like, so many people complain about circumstances or like it's the end of the world, this and that. And it's just like, you wake up to have to provide and figure it out for 4 kids plus yourself, you know?
I try to, I want to give my children everything that I didn't have. That's what I'm working towards, but I don't want to spoil them, Yeah,
and that's, like I said, the upbringing, like, besides, being raised as Christian, that was one of the biggest things too. Like, we were never really handed anything, and it's not any fault of our parents. It was just they did the best that they could, and they might have not handed us cars or apartments, but they handed us the street smarts, the appreciation of what it is to work, really hard for something. And I feel like, honestly, I wouldn't change that for anything, because it keeps you humble, appreciative of when you do accomplish something, when you do get something, how grateful you are for it. Yeah. Where if it's just handed to you, you're going to be like, okay.
And it makes you value what you have, most definitely, especially when you worked for it. So,
Now, with you said you just had a daughter a year ago. Are you with the mother to her?
No.
And it happens, I mean, if you tried, it works. And if it doesn't, like I said, I hate to say mistakes, because something like that isn't a mistake. A child is a blessing, but it's definitely learning lessons.
Yeah. It took the 4th try for me to get it, but
like I said, you didn't exactly, you kind of were dealt, the short end of the stick, if you will. But you're doing the best that you can, and that's really what matters. Nobody. That's why I say, like, I don't care how old you are. Like, people are constantly evolving, constantly learning, and it's not that older people don't have certain wisdom and advice. Absolutely. But it also doesn't mean that they know it all either. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, nobody knows how their life is going to get laid out, what the next 5, 10, 15 years looks like. So the most you can do is, if it happens, you experience it and you prepare the best you can for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, how is it with, having the children that you have? You have 2 mothers to your children. Is that co-parenting cordial? Is it a challenge?
Well, me and my first child's mother, she just now getting better. We separated. Some women, when you separate, they think taking the kids or whatever.
It only hurts the kid. It's not the way to resolve it.
But she just now getting better. I think she came to a realization that, I don't really know. I'm still trying to figure it out, honestly.
Well, I can only speak on base like what I know of you so far.
Yeah.
You don't seem like a bitter guy. You don't seem like a guy who's just gonna start trouble for no reason. And I can say this because in my previous relationships, you know, I've been engaged 2 different times. You know, I've dated guys. They have been black men who've had kids.
Yeah.
And I've seen it firsthand where it's just like, stop doing this to black men. Stop.
Yeah,
Because number one, then women say, well, there's no good men, or the black men are this, and that. Well, no, they're not, because I've had my share of dating black men, and they were all quite phenomenal. They were great guys at the end of the day. There was not, you know, it just didn't work out like with us.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too.
Yeah, but like they themselves were good men, you know what I mean? And I just say black men because unfortunately, whether it's cultural or statistics, it seems to primarily be in our cultures. Me as a Latina, you as, you know, Black American, African American, however you address yourself, you know, it seems to be this thing. And it's just like, sometimes I wonder, I personally don't have children of my own. I always say I'm the best mom with no kids. But like, I kind of try to put myself in that mother's shoes. I get it. The relationship didn't work out. You know, you had a child with someone. Now you're considered a single mother. It happens. Like, it's also not the end of the world either. But I try to understand what brings you to this point that thinking anything is going to get solved or be better by keeping your child, like, from them.
Yeah. It hurt me too. It definitely did, because even my youngest son, I had to rebuild my connection with him, because he didn't remember me. Like, she was gone. She left. She was gone for like almost 2 years. I had to hunt her down, take her to court. We went to court for like 2 years. And she finally, took it to trial and everything. She finally gave up to, I just wanted a 50-50 custody, but she wanted to keep going. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go for full custody. But even with the court battles and stuff, they played unfair. It wasn't really much that they could say, though.
Yeah.
You know, when you're genuine, it's nothing that anybody can say.
Yeah. And you kind of wonder why, like, slowly but surely, I feel like they are catching on to kind of like these games that women play. And it's just like, a lot of the time, do you women even, if that father to your child, you know, if they had the chance to be back with them, would you even want to be back with them? I think if they sat back and asked themselves that question, they would probably sit there and be like, wait, why am I even acting like this?
Yeah.
And then you have a man like you, you're trying to be a good dad. But then on the other side of it, you got women talking about, he's a deadbeat dad. He doesn't show up. He doesn't this and that. And that could be the case. So why is it being made difficult for the ones who are trying to show up? Why is that being challenged?
And the crazy part is about both of my baby moms. I don't like using that
I
word.
don't either. The mother to your children,
the mother
yes,
to my children,
because they could be better than that.
The crazy part is they got other baby dads that aren't involved. So when I met my first baby mom, well, I was young. Obviously, I didn't have kids, but she already had 2 already. Right. You know, I don't even know how it happened. I honestly don't know how it happened. It just happened. But and I was taking care of her other kids at an earlier, because their dad wasn't around. And not to disrespect them or anything like that. But
I mean, facts are facts, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So it led up to me having kids with her. I don't know why she gave me a hard time.
Yeah.
She don't do it no more, but she gave me a hard time.
I mean, and I really think, and like I said, you know, I think the issue with people these days is taking a minute to sit down in the realization of, if you are a hurt person hurting people. Because I used to do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you really have to sit here, because all of that drama, the keeping your kid, that's not really a direct result of, oh, you know, you had a child, or it didn't work out, or I don't like that person anymore. A lot of the time, it's just things that you haven't resolved within yourself, that you actually have the intention and energy to make somebody else's life that miserable, and go out of your way to do that when somebody may be showing up, helping you out. Whereas you're pushing the very thing away that could improve your life or make it easier. And this is just, it's emotional, but it's also spiritual. Yeah. Whereas like for 23, that's a lot of life to have experience. I'm going to be 35 and I haven't experienced not even half of that.
You look really young.
Thank you.
Not saying you're old, but you know,
listen, I'll take it.
No, yeah, you age well. You age very
But that's
well.
what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but it also goes to show you that spiritual thing. Whereas if you weren't raised the way you were raised, you could have easily gone to the fleshly thing, wanting to beat the hell out of somebody, of being confused of why are you putting me through that, and I'm trying to help you or do better for you. Whereas your composure and your demeanor, you seem like you're a good father at the end of the day, with reason to kind of want to lash out and probably do half the things that they have done to you, but I
went through way too much for that. So it's like when you go through a lot, some things they just brush off your shoulders. And it might come back and bother you later on, but it's just like I went through too much. I got too much going on. I got bigger fish to fry.
And it's the emotional factor. Number one, Eve, thanks for ruining it for us women. We're emotional beings. If it's cultural, your upbringing, we may be a little crazier than others. I've come a long way, but but and it's just like men have such a better composure when it comes to like emotions and dealing with certain high stress things, and it's just like, women, you gotta stop adding fuel to the fire. And if you are dealing with, whether it's a man you're in a relationship with, a father to your children, number one, who's trying to show up and be a good dad, stop challenging that. Stop it. Stop trying to get them locked up and this and that, because then the next thing they're going to do is play victim. Oh, well, he can't help me, this and that. Okay, who got him there? Give me the backstory.
That's kind of what my second child's mother did. She didn't want me to. Well, to be honest, I don't know for sure if the baby's mine. No. I just know that we was together at the time and she ended up pregnant. I tried to get a DNA test done and she didn't want to take one. So I have yet to know.
I plead the fifth and I hope the best. I mean, but at the end of the day, whether it is or it isn't, I believe that God will still bless you just for showing up and being a good father to that kid.
I haven't met the baby.
Oh, okay.
I sent money and stuff and bought a car seat and all of that other stuff, but I haven't met. She don't want me to meet the baby. I tried to get a DNA test done. She didn't want to take a DNA test. She tried to ruin the last relationship that I was in. It stirred up a lot, but I showed my ex all the proof of everything. Me trying to get everything done, and when I was ready to get the DNA test done, she dipped off. So I don't know what's good with them dipping off, but she dipped off and whatever. So I was just like, you know what? I didn't believe it was mine. Yeah. But she came back 3 months later and messaged the girl that I was with about it, and so just messy. So she thought,
stop this toxicity.
She thought she thought it was gonna ruin anything. So but it didn't. So since it didn't, she tried to take me to court for child support.
Which I'm sure, I don't really know the system, but wouldn't that require a DNA?
Yeah. So it don't make sense.
Educate yourself, ladies, before you're trying to let the emotions dominate your decisions. Oh my gosh. And like I said, just like even with that, ladies, if the energy that you invest in trying to ruin a man's life, whether it's just in a relationship or if you have kids with them, if you invested that energy in yourself, in your well-being, your mental health, if you got childhood trauma, hurt, pain, past things, whatever it is to deal with, redirect it, channel it. Like, it's not impossible. Is it difficult to do? Absolutely. But like, this gotta stop, because unfortunately it really is such a cultural thing. Like it's in your culture, it's in mine. Like we're embarrassing ourselves, and there's no benefit in it. So it's like at the end of the day, you're waking up to choose, like they say, choose violence, choose drama, choose toxicity. What if you woke up and chose a better mindset, growth, maturity, mental health, to a point where you can have clarity and make better decisions? Where it's just like, I don't know you in and out, but where does boxing come in for you? Does that help you channel some of this?
Yeah, it's a stress reliever. It helps you release a lot of anger. When you're upset, you go punch the bag, spar somebody, get it all out your system. So
And now, how long have you been doing that?
I started at 12, but it was on and off. But I just got back, and I went back when I was 21.
Okay.
So like for years straight. So
yeah.
But I never took it really serious because I wasn't too passionate about it. I just liked doing it. You know,
like
if I'm gonna
hobby.
you know. So if I'm gonna be out here fighting, I might as well get paid for it. Now my hands is licensed, so now I can't.
See, but and that's what I'm saying for like, you know, factoring in everything, you know, you kind of experienced and been through, you know, it's great that you kind of built off of, you know, you had anger because we are human. Like we are human. Nobody's perfect. It's okay to be angry. Those are natural feelings to feel, you know, whether it's what you've been through or other people have been through. And I think society a lot of the time, and even church, they don't normalize this. And it's like at the end of the day, yes, we have our spirit, but we also have a flesh, and we are entitled to feel these natural emotions based on things we've like been through. But I think the golden thing with you is you identified it, you accepted it, you're aware of it, and you turned it into something, like you said, that not only was a hobby and probably kept you out of a lot of street fights and whatever could have come about, but now, you know what I mean? Your hands are licensed. So now that's good. That's your mindset now where you have something to lose. You're not going to just be out here doing things to risk it. You know what I mean? Like I think that's not a lot of people can get to that point, you know, or even if people have tried to get to that point, stuck with it. You know what I mean? So, and that's what I'm saying. Like that is that grace with yourself. You should be proud of yourself in that way where, once again, and it's not to say that, oh my God, you're so much younger than me, but 23 is considered still young these days. 23, I didn't know what the heck I wanted. Like I was still trying to figure out like, what am I doing? You know? So I think that's absolutely something you should be, you know, proud of as a young Black man. Like, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Like, ladies are the first one to just not be approachable, complain about a man, say there's not this, there's not that. But you got to take a step back and be like, okay, what am I doing? What could I be doing better to even just allow that to happen? And not every man is trying to get at you. Because I definitely was just chilling where you work. I was waiting on it. We had casual conversation with yourself and other gentlemen. And not at any point in time did I feel uncomfortable or like somebody was trying to get at me. Like, it's not always like that. Like, there are some men who just want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I think you posted something that you said, I want to have female friends. Where they at? You know what I'm saying? Like, not everything needs to be sexualized or like just because, you know, a man is coming up to you to have a conversation. He might not even be considering dating you. Like, maybe, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm not going to lie. Having female friends that I did have, the female friends that I did have, they did more for me than a female ever did in any relationship I was in.
Because once again, society, the titles, like what's expected, what you should be doing. Listen, the best thing I could have did with the current and hopefully last relationship I am in is let it happen naturally.
Yeah.
Let it happen organically. If it's just a coffee date and nothing ever else and it just is a friendship, let it be. Don't force anything that's meant for you. You should not have to force.
Yeah.
It's just
most definitely.
put.
Yeah, if you gotta chase it, it's not for you.
Yeah. So over time, would you say what has been the biggest challenge of trying to be a good co-parent versus a better one?
Just trying to control my frustration and all that other stuff. Just kind of trying to keep everything under control. And with both baby moms, it's like talking to a brick wall. So I just like, you know what, I let them have their way for now until they're cooled down and just accept
But that's only good. That's only good and healthy for you for so long.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like it is a point where it's not fair to you. Men have feelings.
Yeah, that's why you just go to court. I tell everybody, if she give you, just take her to court.
And sadly, you know, and I know some females who try to avoid that. You know, even getting to that point, because you know, it goes both ways. Sometimes it can be trouble with the dad, like it could be trouble with the moms, and it's just like you don't want to get to that point. But if it does get to that point, don't be upset with the other person, because it's just like if they've tried certain things before and it didn't work. Well, if they're left with no option, they're left with no option.
There's a lot of bitter baby fathers too that are overly possessive.
Yeah.
So I speak from experience dealing with them two women. So it's just they don't want to see the kid and all. But then you got me that wants to see the kid, and it's just backwards.
You're probably like the youngest one of them all.
I am.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I am.
And it's just like I get, as a woman, I can slightly understand, okay, oh my God, you thought that was going to be your forever person. You had a child with them. It didn't work out. I could imagine that's like a gut punch. I do get it, especially for like a woman who just wouldn't have that image represented of them. I get it. But at the end of the day, everything happens for a reason. If it's something you can't control, there's no point of staying somewhere toxic and now you're just hurting the child. But then it's just like, if you go your separate ways, there's literally no benefit or point in putting the child in the middle of that. Because you know why? That child is going to grow up and know right from wrong and, remember the things of, wait a minute, I was around mommy around this time and not around daddy this time. They're going to remember that. Yeah. And that can become a resentment towards the parent who was withholding them from the other parent, because a child is like a sponge. What they see, they will remember when they are old enough to know better. So you are hurting the child more than anything by doing that for your personal satisfaction and benefit, because you have unhealed wounds. Stop doing that. And sadly, yes, it is primarily women doing that to the father of their children. Stop it. So it's not that there's so many deadbeat dads, but there's only so many times that you are going to continue to fight, show up, try to be responsible, and try to be cordial and be patient, where now if I punch you in the mouth and now I'm the one going to jail because I did that, except everything before that isn't factored in of why it led up to that.
Yeah, and I avoid situations. Like, my second baby mom beat me up a few times.
I'm sorry, that's not funny.
She beat me up a few times, man. I was just like, one time she bust a bottle over my head. Oh my God, yeah. Everything, I was bleeding all over the place. I was like,
now, why haven't you made a movie yet?
I always thought seriously about it. I did acting interviews. I did interviews for acting. They wanted me to go to San Francisco, though. Nice. I didn't. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah. I mean, everything happens for a reason, it's like I said, and you still have like your whole life ahead of you. I think it's just, stay on the path that you're on. You seem like you have some destinations and ideas of what you want to do, your priorities straight. And I mean, like I said, it's just, as you can see, he's a younger gentleman. And at times it's really an age versus maturity thing, because you can be 40, 50 and still with that of a mentality of a boy. You know what I mean? So it's really that mindset, your experience, and how you control those emotions and handle things, where I think maturity outweighs age. That's where
age isn't nothing but a number falls into place. Because, definitely. I know some people that still spoon fed mama's boy. I just be like, man, I couldn't do it. Like, even in my situation where I had to sleep in a hotel, like, there was plenty of times, even when I slept in the car before too, I could have stayed with my mom. I just felt like I was too old to be staying with my mom, and I had to figure it out. And that's what I did. So,
and sometimes you have to prove those things to yourself, like knowing that you don't have to be in that situation, but there's such a fine line of making yourself too comfortable that you might stay in that situation too long. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm getting it. And I had kids, so I'm definitely not going to be staying with my mom. I'll sleep in the car. As long as I was at peace, honestly, because she was all right. I made sure she was okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the most important. I mean, like I said, men do have it difficult in certain situations, especially when it comes to their children, because for whatever reason, women kind of dominate the law being in their favor. But like, the only sadness in that is kind of women sometimes taking advantage of that. You know what I mean? and to their benefit, where it's just like, it's just.
I see why a lot of men give up. And they don't see. But if you just keep going, even like with my cousin, even the judge was getting frustrated with me for showing up and not agreeing to just accept. I'm like, no, she ran off with my kids for so long. My son don't even remember me. I gotta rebuild my connection with him. Like, he was happy to see me. Then when he realized he was coming, he busted out crying.
That's like I said, that's a confusion for them, and that's what I'm saying. Like, people don't realize, like, is it worth it so much to damage, this beautiful blessing of a child that you created just because you're hurt? Go to therapy. Figure out how to help yourself, or ways to just work on you versus taking it out on the thing that was so precious to you at one point. So it's just like, I don't know, it's like, just like I said, just word of advice is, the world we live in today, obviously there's so much corruption, drama, toxicity. social media. There's like no benefit whatsoever in, I won't say no benefit. The no benefit is in the social media that's negative, because what social media could be used for,
especially nowadays, you can make a lot of money off of social media.
Yeah, and just like the growth and educating and the positivity and motivation, like that's what it should be. Sadly, I feel like a lot of, what dominates is the things that are just not beneficial or, going to help you grow. So like, obviously everything we talked about, that, I hate to say the situation that you're in, but you seem to handle it well. What word of advice to, like, whether it's young or any age of co-parenting mothers and fathers, how to see this through or make the best of it when it comes to trying to co-parent?
You just got to accept it for what it is. If nothing works out, it's all right. I got another second baby. I got another baby mom. Clearly it didn't work out, but it's always somebody that, you can have kids with more than one person. Some people have kids with that one person, and men, because a lot of men is over possessive over that woman.
Right.
Some guys have kids with the woman too, to trap the woman, and you know what I'm saying. So you gotta understand this. There's plenty of people out here. If it don't work out, it's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of things too. Where it's just like sometimes like women, like, oh my God, if it doesn't work out with that one, like it's never gonna work with anybody else. There's billions and billions of people in this world.
I was the guy that it didn't work out. I was the guy that tried to make it work.
Yeah, and sometimes that's all you can do. And if you did that and it didn't work, then that is your closure, because now there's not going to be, well, what if, if we tried or did this or did that. If you tried and it didn't work out, okay, now I can walk away with peace that we genuinely tried, we gave it a shot, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
And like I said, I had to learn that lesson myself of, oh, you feel away when you see the ex, or like, okay, you're not together. And it's just like, what are you even mad at? Like,
no,
you dated it, you tried it, it didn't work out. Okay. Like, you're probably already moved on. Like, why are you still upset?
Yeah.
It
was a time where, man.
Yeah.
Women. So not all women, but so the women that I have to deal with, like, I was being attacked at both of them around the same time.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't want me in a relationship. I let them do their own thing, and sometimes I see them and I don't say nothing because I don't know what to expect. So I just keep it.
Yeah, keep it moving. Well, listen, it's just, everything is a word of advice. Experience and opinions. This is kind of just, there's not enough talk about this stuff, and this is a daily reality for a lot of people, a lot of young people too, within our cultures. And it's you got to look at the bigger picture. You got to step outside, give yourself that moment to just think clearly, figure out, why am I acting this way? Why am I letting these emotions get the best of me? Where it's just like, people are just trying to make it through the day. You're just trying to build yourself up, do the best that you can do, have the best relationship with your kids that you can. And just let people live in peace, just do that. But, so I mean, and then for your boxing, like I do admire that, because that's something you're channeling this energy into, and those type of things are the things that your kids are going to see, where it's just like, as they get older and understand everything you've been through, everything you've had to deal with, they're going to see you come out on the other side. And that in itself is a role model and example of, wow, dad could have been this, or react this way, or been this way, and you weren't. So I'm sure that gets difficult on a daily basis, especially with two individual women. I'm sure it's a constant challenge, but it's just like you said, as long as you got God on your side, whatever you're holding on to, keep going. That's, and like I said, even those days that you can't understand why certain things happen, those are the times that you push through the most. Because if you just push through a little more, when you get to your next blessing, because the more you mess with people, the more you challenge them, you're just making their next blessing bigger. You know what I'm saying? So as long as you continue to focus on that, like, you will be blessed, And
I appreciate that most definitely. And then you got to somehow, some way find some kind of joy in the chaos, In order for things to grow, you got to have some rain.
Absolutely. And I see you got a few things, going on in your life too. But like I said, it's great that you're doing boxing. Is there anything else exciting that you got going for yourself, or?
Music. Music. I've been working on a lot of music lately.
Okay.
So it's just that, and I'm working on going to the military. It's a lot that I'm just trying to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's better for me and my children's future.
That's good.
You know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good for you. Keep it going. Yeah, keep doing your thing. That, yeah. You know, make the best decisions for you, and then I'm sure it'll trickle down to your kids, and that's the most important.
The military, it's not something I want to do, but it'd be something good to do. I feel like, get structure.
Yeah. And I mean, and like I said, that's something that will help you build up long term and leave.
Yeah, and I know my kids will be set for life.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that.
Well, you heard it here on Just Ask Em. Like I said, I love this episode because it does kind of just dive into the, the diversity of these are topics that we don't speak on nearly enough. These are things that, affect people on a daily basis. And, if it's something that you can fix or make better or easier for somebody, that's really what we should be working towards. And not trying to be funny. If you are looking to help your mental health, I do work at a therapy office, and it's for individual, family, and couples therapy. And mental health is a real thing. If you feel like that's something that, you want to take care of, feel free to reach out to me. But if it's something you're not ready for, just work together. Like, we are all humanity. I don't care, what you consider yourself, race. The only difference is culture and tradition. Mm-hmm. We should be loving and kind to one another and just really keep working together and supporting each other. So tune in and subscribe.